So we've been working through this same series for a decent while now. It's been quite a few weeks. And today I thought that it was time for everybody's favorite, pop quiz. But don't worry. Fortunately, there are only 2 questions on this quiz. And I'm just going to say it and then call it out. What has this series been focused on? Discipleship. Okay. And who are we disciples of? Oh, man. That was rough. I don't know if I would have passed this class. that was rough. We have been talking about discipleship in the series Discipleshift. Relationships, absolutely. And we are disciples of Jesus. And realistically, that right there is a very good start. That right there, the understanding, the grasping of those concepts will bring us a long ways already. And we have been talking through this process. We have made it all the way through the different parts of the definition of a disciple, of discipleship. And we have also now made it through all of the parts of the example of Jesus in terms of his discipling of other people. But there is one more step. As we were going through the definition, we broke it down into 3 steps. There was identification, that we had to identify that Jesus was the person that we were going to strive to become like, that he was the one that we desired to be disciples of. And then there was imitation, which is the process of actually becoming like them, of understanding who they are, how they work, how they think, and imitating, becoming like the discipler. But the 3rd step is where we now stand today. When Jesus worked with his disciples, he called them to choose him and to do as he did. And he walked alongside him for the majority of his ministry. They watched, they listened, they learned. And as we discussed last week, they began doing the things that Jesus did. They began training and doing the things that he did. But right before Jesus finished his ministry, he left them with one task. Settle down, get comfortable, and live your life out in peace and quiet. Nope, sadly, that was not the task that Jesus left them with. In fact, he basically told them, okay, great, now you're ready to get started. This is after 3 years of walking with him and being disciples of him, of learning and growing and doing and training. All right, great, you're ready to start. And I don't want that to sound scary, and that's going to be the point of our lesson, is that this is doable, but here is the actual command. And we know this one by now, hopefully, but Matthew 28, 19 and 20. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you, and behold, I am with you always to the end of the age. And this is the part, at least in my opinion, where discipleship gets scary. It's one thing for me to look at myself and to say, I want to be a disciple. I recognize that I need help, that I need to grow. And you know what? I'm going to submit myself. I am going to identify somebody that I can look to, somebody that I can train under, and I am going to grow. And then as I become comfortable, as I grow, I'm going to become that doer of the word, like Jesus said. I'm going to become this. It's one thing for us to go through that process ourselves and to believe in that, but it's another thing for me to say, I am going to make a disciple. And this is the part that I think that most people get stuck on in this idea of discipleship. Who am I to make a disciple? I'm not a teacher. I'm not an expert. I barely even know what I'm doing half the time, so how can I tell them what they're supposed to do? How am I supposed to make a disciple? At least that's how it feels for me. And I believe, that within this line of reasoning, there is a misunderstanding. And that misunderstanding is that, in my view of discipleship that I have just laid out, it's about me. Am I smart enough? Am I trained enough? Am I capable enough? Am I the perfect person to be an example for this person? Guess what? You're not. Nobody is. That's not what discipleship is. Discipleship is not about me reaching a point of expertise in this walk that we call Christianity and saying, okay, now I'm ready to go. Guess what? The disciples, the apostles, were not ready. Look at where they were at when Jesus sent them out. Short of the fact that they received the Holy Spirit and were given power, they were still bumbling around. Jesus was looking at them like, how do you not understand this yet? How have I walked with you for this long and you're still asking these questions? That's me. I'm still asking these questions. But you know what? I am the person that Jesus is talking to here. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations. This is the last step of discipleship and the name of our sermon now. Disciples make disciples. And that may sound like the scariest part, but let me assure you that it is not just possible, it is plausible, it is likely. And I know this for a fact because even without understanding everything, I understand one thing. Jesus asked us to do it, and he knows that we are capable of it, and his promise to help us do it. That should be enough right there. And I'm not going to end the sermon. I'm going to go into why I believe that it is truly capable, truly possible for us. But that should be enough right there. That Jesus has said we could, and he said he's going to help us. It is possible for us, for every single individual, to make disciples. And now, let's get into why. When we went through this, we broke this down into sort of a step list for the example that Jesus gave. This is how Jesus made disciples. This is the process he went through. And what I want to do is I want to go back through these steps, and I want to show how when I am able to shift the mindset away from this is on me, this is my power, this is my ability, when I am able to shift that to how is Jesus going to do this through me, this becomes possible. And each step, it makes a difference. So let's start with the first one. Does anybody remember step 1? Just call it out. Anybody remember? I'm just curious. Choose Jesus. Yep. Disciples are chosen. So this is step 1. What does this mean in my view, in the flawed view, so to speak? This means that I need to go out and select somebody that I am going to teach and show exactly how to live for Christ. Does that not sound super hard? How am I supposed to go and pick somebody and be like, hey, come and walk with me so that I can teach you exactly what you're supposed to do so that you can understand everything that you need to understand about Jesus and about Christianity. Let me make sure that I'm a great example for you. You're not picking anybody. You're never going to look at somebody and think, you know what, I'm just the perfect example, so I'm going to choose this person. We're already at step 1 and we've failed. Because it's not about me. It's not about my ability. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it doesn't take effort, that we shouldn't be trying to be good at this, because we should strive to make good efforts in the things that we do. We should strive to be pleasing to God in these ways. But again, it's not about me. Imagine if I did this to a stranger. I walked up, I greeted them politely, and said, I would like you to spend the next year of your life with me so that I can teach you everything that I know about living a godly life. There's not a single person on the planet that is saying yes to that. Not one of them. Because that's crazy. And it is crazy, and that's why this doesn't make sense, why we would believe that this is the model. I think I made a joke in my sermon. It's stupid, but the percentage chance of that is -12. Like, we are crazy if we believe that we are capable of doing these things, because we are talking about lives and souls. We are talking about changing hearts, radical shifts of mindset, truth revealing of the universe. That's God's work, not mine. And I'm going to keep repeating this over and over and over again, because this is the point. It's not me, it's God. It's not me, it's God. It's not me, it's God. That's discipleship. It's God. So now, what's missing in this first example? I walk up to somebody and I tell them, hey, I'm going to spend a year teaching you. What's missing in that? Relationship. Absolutely. Relationship. That was step 2. Disciples are chosen. Disciples are made in relationship. You see, it's crazy to believe that anybody would buy into that, because I have no relationship with them. I have no authority in their life. I have no credibility in their life. And even more importantly than that, at this point, they have no relationship with Jesus. And he has no authority and no credibility in their lives. Nobody's going to become a disciple of somebody that they don't understand. And if I walk up to somebody and try and tell them about Jesus, this mystical idea, when they haven't even begun to understand who I am, we're already so far off. Discipleship begins in the relationship that we have with people. So again, what is the flawed view? The flawed view is now, if I have bought into the idea that there is relationship required here, and everything is focused on me, I am constantly worried about how perfect I can be to make sure that this person looks at me and sees a perfect reflection of Jesus and absolutely desires a perfect relationship with me, because it's all dependent on if this person likes me. It's all dependent on if I can get the person to commit to me. And again, all of a sudden you look at this and it feels terrifying. How terrifying would it be to have a stranger that is now dependent upon whether or not I am just the exact person that they like, the exact person they want to spend time with? That's crazy. But instead, if I am able to shift away from this, if I am able to look at myself, it's not about me, it's about God. God is the perfect example. He is the perfect person in a relationship. And now something beautiful happens here. Something spectacular happens here. Not only do I now legitimately have a perfect example to give to the person, to be able to say, this is what true life looks like. This is what light looks like. Now, I am able to share who I really am with that person, flaws and all. I am able to relate to them on a human level, because I am human. Because I am flawed, I am messed up, I am not the perfect example. I'm never going to relate to them as the perfect example, but I can relate to them as somebody who is struggling but wants something better. I can relate to them as somebody who is living life and doesn't understand everything, but I sure want to. A lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people can relate to me, the flawed person. And not just because I'm flawed, but because I'm striving for something more. And I can't relate in that way if the example has to be me. And so we end up with this beginning here, where it's not about me choosing somebody because I think that I can be the perfect teacher for them. And it's not about me selecting somebody because I think that I'm going to be able to perfectly relate to who they want me to be, or that I am the perfect example in my life of the Jesus that they need in their life. Instead, I am able to look at any single person with this. You know what? I'm not perfect. I can't tell you everything. I can't show you everything through my life because I do make mistakes. But I am trying to make things better. And I have a relationship with this person in my life that is amazing and has changed my life. And I would like to share them with you. I would like you to begin to have a relationship with this person that I have met, and that person is Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with me, except for the fact that Jesus has changed my life, and he can change yours. That's it. That's the beginning of discipleship. How much pressure has now been taken off of this concept? I no longer have to be the expert teacher. I no longer have to be this influential speaker or this perfect relational person. All I have to do is share that Jesus has made a difference in my life and he can make a difference in yours. And now we're on our way. Because here's the thing, that can happen in all sorts of scenarios. You can be playing your favorite sport and be talking to somebody, and that can happen because all you're doing is talking to them, getting to know them as a person, sharing your life with them, your failures, your successes, relating to them as a person. And if you are a Christian walking with Christ, if you are his disciple, that is going to be an important aspect of your life that you want to share with your friend. You know, I'm having a fun time hanging out with you. This is something that's important to me in my life, in my daily life. This is something that is a part of it. Let me share that with you. It's not preachy. It's not demanding. It's just true life. And I'm not saying that we're not presenting Jesus in a positive way. All I'm saying is that we don't need to create this time bomb for ourselves. We just need to relate to people. Because discipleship begins in relationship, and we have to buy into that. And now, if I have a relationship with a person, if they have begun to relate to Jesus in the sense that they see something in my life and want to understand more, even if they haven't bought fully into him, they understand that something's different, we move to step 3. Disciples are taught. And now, if it's focused on me, we already at this point know where this is going. If it's focused on me, then I have to be the perfect teacher. I have to know all of the answers. I have to have everything figured out. I can't make mistakes or else I'm going to be misleading them. All the pressure's back on me. I'm not the teacher. I'm standing in front of you right now as the preacher. I'm not the teacher. My job as a person here is to share the message of the teacher. You know, that's what a prophet is. And now, I'm not calling myself a prophet in that regard, but a prophet just means messenger. There was nothing special about the prophets who gave these incredible truths to the people and guided millions. They were just the messenger. That's all you are. That's all any of us is just the messenger of the person who actually understands the world, who actually understands people, who actually understands me. All I need to do is help them get to the teacher. And now, it's good if I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, because realistically, that's the process that I'm going through in my life. As a disciple of Christ, I am trying to learn about what the teacher says. I am trying to get to know him better constantly throughout my life. And this is where we get to another interesting point, is that if I'm learning and growing, I can relate to the fact that they're learning and growing. When I don't have to be the teacher and I get to be a student with them, it's way more comfortable. And now I may know a couple extra things. I might know some fancy Bible history, or I might know some doctrine ideas that we have, but it doesn't really matter because we're both of the same mind and goal, that I understand that Jesus is special and I want to know what he says. Because he's my teacher. He's the person that I'm trying to imitate. That's discipleship. So again, we have the beautiful aspect of a relationship that now can flourish and now can work together in seeking after Christ without pressure on me, without the need for perfection. And hopefully at this point, the purpose of this message is clear. Because again, the whole idea is to present the fact that if you are a disciple of Christ, discipleship ends, never really ends, but it ends this part of the loop in making disciples. When I go through the process of being a disciple, the natural byproduct of me relating to people in my life is that they have to decide of whether or not they want Jesus, because he's a part of my life. And I'm going to share that. Again, not in an aggressive way, not in a demanding way, not in a teachy way, but because I'm relating to you as a person, he is part of my life, and I want him to be part of yours. And now we get to this last part, and it's cool because at this point, we have gone from this image that feels impossible, that feels ludicrous, of me as an imperfect person, as somebody who doesn't understand how to do everything that I need to do, of somebody who's growing and learning, who's somebody who is not an expert teacher, getting somebody to be an active member in the body of Christ. How do I get from point A to point B? That seems so insane. Except that if I walk through it like this, all I have done is spent time with somebody, gotten to know who they are, revealed who I am to them, and part of who I am is Jesus Christ because he has changed my life. And they now have a decision of whether or not they want to get to know Jesus. That's discipleship. If they decide that they do, great. We can move on to step 4. And that's where disciples are trained. Because now we can begin to give them opportunities to do things. Now, as they learn about Jesus, as they continue to grow, it is now time for them to start trying stuff. Because faith is active. There's no pressure. I don't need to be a perfect representative. All I need to do is help them see how can you serve Jesus Christ. That's it. Doesn't need to be up here in front of a pulpit. Doesn't need to be on a worship team. Maybe all you're doing is encouraging people. That's one of the most important aspects of Christianity, encouragement. There are people who are amazing at encouragement, people who are far better than me at encouragement. There are plenty of opportunities to serve in the kingdom of God. And when they have a relationship with you, when they have a relationship with Christ, and they want something more, those opportunities are abundant. And they can start growing, and you can help them. And ultimately, at this point, you're peers. Because it's not about I'm greater, I'm higher than you. I don't need to teach you anything. You already have a relationship with Jesus, and you're growing. I'm just walking alongside you. I'm just sharing life with you. And the relationship creates the disciple, who then creates a disciple. Because you see, what I haven't said yet, but hopefully what is apparent at this point, is that all making a disciple is bringing somebody alongside you through the process that you're going through. As you become a disciple, and as you grow in your walk of being a disciple of Jesus, all you have to do is share that with people, and that's discipleship. I was chosen by Christ, but I also was chosen by my parents. We don't think about it in that way, but they chose to share Jesus with me. But they didn't do that immediately. They didn't just start hammering me with doctrine and with facts about Jesus. They built a relationship with me. And again, we disregard this because it's just family. It's just normal. But that's what discipleship is. It's normal. It's life. They built a relationship with me. They then got to share a part of their life with me in Jesus. I started asking more questions, and they got an opportunity to answer my questions, to build a deeper relationship with me. And ultimately, I became interested myself, and I said, how do I help? And they said, go here, do this. That's discipleship. And every single one of us in this room can do that. There is not a single person in here who is incapable of building a relationship with another human being and sharing the most important, hopefully, the most important aspect of your life, that is Jesus Christ. When we are able to shift the mindset from I need to be the teacher, the example, the discipler, when I am able to take those misconceptions away, discipleship becomes a reality of my life because Jesus is a reality of my life, and the people that I interact with are a reality. Discipleship is just bringing those two realities together. And the natural process makes things easier, it makes things more likely, and it makes the rotation, the cycle, continue. When I make it all about me, the cycle stops. Because all of a sudden, I'm not capable of making disciples anymore. And when I'm not capable of making disciples, I don't. And the people who are now no longer disciples don't make disciples either. And those don't make disciples either. Stop making it about me. Make it about Jesus. And Jesus will make his kingdom grow. That was the goal all along. He spent time, this is what we've talked about for weeks, he spent time with 12 men who were not the most capable men ever, who were not great leaders of their nations. But he spent time with 12 men, I guess technically more than that, but we think of the 12 apostles, who then spent time with more people. Read the letters of Paul, one of the later apostles, and you realize that he just spent time with these people. He names the people in his letters. Read through Paul's letters. He just names the people in the church. He knows them. He built a relationship with them. He feels for them as they're going through hardships. Paul is a teacher, yes, but that is not how he made disciples. How Paul made disciples of people is he went in and said, oh, hey, let me get to know you. Let me share Jesus, who's part of my life. Let me teach you about a couple of things that I've learned in my walk, maybe through my own mistakes. Paul had many. And then let me help you learn how to serve Jesus, who now we both know. And then he left. And those churches grew and made more disciples. Not all of them were successful, but that's the mission. That's the plan that Jesus laid out. That's what discipleship ultimately is. And the end of all of this is that we are disciples of Jesus, and disciples make disciples. And today I want to close out with that. if you guys don't mind, if you all could stand. Hopefully this isn't too weird, but if you individually truly believe that you are a disciple of Christ, if you can look at that statement and you can say, yes, I am a disciple of Christ, then please repeat after me. I am a disciple of Christ. Disciples make disciples. That's it. That's everything. You believe that, and you believe the disciples make disciples. I have now shown you, hopefully well enough, that that's reasonable. That is not a crazy expectation. You can do that. You are called to do that. You are expected by Christ to do that because he loves you and he's willing to help you. Be a disciple, and in that make disciples. And the church will grow and Jesus will be glorified.